Who do you want me to talk to?
To us.
To the camera or
To the camera.
Or to somebody?
Okay. Let's talk to the earth science community.
No. Do you want me to look at him? Do you want me to look at you?
Oh, look at me.
Okay.
Yeah, my question here is, which is the most asked question about such an amazing experience that you had walking on the moon for 22 hours? Which questions do people ask you about that?
Oh, well, the most common question from a non-scientist is, of course, what was it like? And it's impossible to describe many of life's most wonderful experiences because you have to be there. Being there is the essential human ingredient, and just reading about it or hearing about it is not quite sufficient, because the second most asked question from non-scientists is usually, well, but what was it really like, even after you've tried to answer the first question. So you have to look at those experiences in the context of what kinds of similar experiences people might have had. Standing on the rim of the Grand Canyon for the first time, maybe making the top of Mount Everest for the first time. There are many such experiences individuals have, and they're important and unique because they're more than you ever anticipated they would be. And that's what being on the moon was like, and actually being in space was like. It's more than you could ever anticipate it would be, and you have to be there. And that's why it's so important for us to have a very broad-based space program sometime in the future, so more and more individuals can have that kind of experience.
So it's a problem also of communication, to communicate which was your experience.
No, I don't think it's a problem of communication. I think it's an impossible thing to communicate. I just don't think you can do it. You have to be there. Now, some people can give part of the experience better than others, but ultimately you have to be there.
That is the same thing that Dante Alighieri says in the Inferno, in the Paradise. He says there's no way to describe it. is over the human beings, you can't do it.
Well,
but he did it.
Well, he did it.
But he was not there.
But he was not there, and fortunately for him. But it is still something that we just have to recognize. There are those kind of experiences that are very personal, and something that you have to be part of. The first time you fall in love, the first time that you have a child, all of those things are probably comparable in that sense.
Which is the most asked question by researchers, scientific persons.
Well, it's usually why was it important scientifically to go to the moon, and the primary importance, and we knew this before we went, but we didn't know why we knew it. We just knew that it had to be important. That the moon would tell us a lot about the early history of the Earth. We didn't know how much, but it still, we felt that it was important. It was a companion of the Earth. You could tell from its density and other properties that you could measure before we ever went there that it had affinities to the Earth in terms of composition and probably origin. But it was sort of a belief, I think, among most Earth scientists who were interested in the moon, that we would learn a great deal about our Earth by understanding the moon. And indeed, we learned more than we ever could have expected. Very few Earth scientists believed that the surface materials of the moon were very old. Well, when we got there, we found that they were not only very old, but we were looking into the first billion years of solar system history in what we were investigating. And that is the part of Earth history that is largely obscured to us. And so the moon is telling us, and has told us, a great deal about the history, primarily the impact history of the inner solar system, and what was affecting the Earth during its one of its most critical periods, and that is the period when life was evolving on the planet.